Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen so you can kind of see what we're going to go through. There's a couple different things. The first thing is you'll get this, and we won't have to go through all this right now, but this is kind of the report. So
Okay.
you'll be able to kind of go through this at your own pace, and go through it, and then we'll go through the videos as well. But really, it's just talks through what the 8 stages are, how we analyze it. This is a report that I did that is a video-based report. So it goes through the 8 stages. I voice over, I put some notes on there. So you have that. You can take it to the court. You can work through it. It'll all be video-based. So when you get this, I'll send this after we get done here. You just click on that, and it'll take you to what I'm going to show you. And then this is the checklist. So you'll have a sense of checklist. Here's Rachel. She's just joining us.
Okay, great.
So, hey, Rachel.
Rachel,
how you doing?
Can you hear us?
Hi.
Hey, great to see you, Rachel. How you doing?
Hi, doing well. How are you?
Good. So yeah, we're just getting started. You haven't missed anything yet. Just going through the general report, and then we're going to go through the videos and talk through the areas of opportunity and sort of what we think has some ability to work on. So this checklist is something we use with all our pro players as well. So it sort of has 3 areas. It has needs attention, it's good, or it's excellent. If there's nothing touched on, it's usually excellent. So as we go through this, I'm going to go through the video and you're going to see it and it's going to make more sense. But I just want to walk you through this. So when you get this after the call, you'll know what it means. And it's not just a bunch of words. But in each of these stages of the serve, as you can see, there's some good areas that could still be better. So, that's the good section. That means, hey, it's not a huge priority, but over the next month or two, just be aware of this. And as the red areas are worked on, because they're the priority areas, you still may want to touch on some of these orange areas as well. So the orange ones are like secondary priority, the red ones are high priority. So at the loading at stage 3, there'll be a couple things here we'll talk on with the video. And the reason there's quite a few here in stage 4 and 5 is because there's a couple things that are happening in stage 3 that if we make that minor adjustment, it'll take care of 4 and 5. So it's always good when you see quite a few red areas. It means there's some opportunities for improvement. There's a few things that can get worked on. And this will all make a lot more sense as we go through the video. But I just wanted to kind of highlight, there's a whole stretch here of stuff that, she's not reaching sort of optimum positioning between stage 4 and 6. 6 is contact. But a lot of these will get cleaned up with 1 or 2 minor adjustments at stage 3. So again, this may all be sort of secondary info right now, like information overload, but it'll make a lot of sense once we go through the video. And then what I did was also based on that, provided some exercises that she can do. I recommend trying to get at least 3 times a week if possible. The first few times she does this, it may take her a little bit of time. So you may feel like it's an hour session, and it may be the first time she does it. But as she gets comfortable with it, you can pick and choose depending on her schedule. But there's these series of exercises here to work on stage 3, loading. And here are some stretches as well, because it looks like she's got some restrictions potentially, and I'd love to get your feedback on that if you think that may be part of it. And then there's here stage 4. If we can work on stage 3 and 4, everything else, I'm seeing this, the things she does are pretty consistent, and I've seen it in hundreds of players. And if you make these adjustments, it'll clean up a lot of the stuff. So again, I'm sure you got a bunch of questions, but I think it'll be easier when we actually go and look at the videos.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. What were you saying? Sorry.
Well, I'm glad you said the hip stretching, because when she can't get her legs out far, like when she does the butterfly,
Yep.
she can't get down. So I don't know if that may be correlated with what you're saying for the loading phase.
Yeah, it's exactly right. So a couple of these will help with that for sure. And all these have videos with it. So you just click on the name and it'll take you to a video. So it'll be really easy for you to implement it.
Okay.
Sorry, Rachel.
Go ahead,
No,
Rachel.
no worries. I just have a question just about how the graph is read towards the top.
Yep.
So there was one that said, or a few of them that it said over rotation.
Yep.
So if it's in the red, is that good? Because she's not over rotating. Do you
No,
know what I'm saying? Like
So
how is
she's over rotating. So it's red because
Oh,
she's overdoing it. Yep.
she is overdoing it.
Yep.
Okay. It's red because she
So,
is
and
over-rotating.
the video we'll walk through right now. It'll explain that better. That's more just a checklist. So when you see it and get it, you'll be able to match it up with the video that we're going to look at right now.
Okay.
Okay. So do you guys see this video? Is that popped up on the screen?
No,
Yeah.
not for me.
No. Okay. Sorry.
Not for
Okay.
me yet.
Sorry. Let me reshare it then. There we go. How's
Okay.
that?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Perfect.
this video also has voiceover, so I recorded that a couple of days ago as we were going through it. So there'll be, when you get the video, it'll look exactly like this. You'll click on this thing up here in the corner, and it'll pull up this 8 stages. So you can actually click on each of these, and there'll be audio associated with it.
Okay.
Okay, so as we go through here, stage 1, she looks great. I wouldn't really think she needs to adjust anything there. Everything looks good. She looks really relaxed, which is really nice. Once we get to stage 2, this is the release stage. So a couple things here. Overall, she looks pretty good here. Normally wouldn't make any real major adjustments. Just keep it aware that her release point may be a little bit low, meaning that the ball comes out of her hands a little low, and that could have an effect on her ball toss consistency. All the really good servers release between the eye, basically the eye level and the top of the head. So you have a pretty small, narrow window. She's just a little bit low. She releases around her chin. So the ball tossing get away from her sometimes because of that. Again, minor issue, not the major thing to focus on, but just something to keep in mind. And then the release angle, she's pretty good. She could maybe move it over slightly more. But again, this is not a major area of focus. So this is sort of where everything starts to happen and the areas of opportunity. So the first one is, notice how her left foot comes around and there's a really big gap between both feet. So what we'd like to see is, from this back view, you'd like to see both feet acting as one, meaning that you only really see one calf, you only see one knee, you only see one hip. Notice how she's really open already, and you see both calves, you see both knees. There's a gap there. So the simple quick fix is have her bring it, if she's gonna, and she's got like this hybrid motion as well. She's bringing her foot up, but she's not bringing it up all the way, which is not necessarily good or bad. There's players that do this, but it looks like she's a little unsure. Is she trying to be a platform server with the foot back, or is she trying to bring it up? So I'm not sure if that is something that she's working on, or what's her preference on that.
Yeah.
So her preference is pinpoint, but the problem was, I think her previous coaches started her off as platform just to make it stable. But the thing that it is when I noticed this when she's playing matches, especially, she'll alternate between platform and pinpoint just because I guess the pressure's there.
Yep.
Whereas I think if she practices the pinpoint and, and one thing I was thinking, Mark, just for now, for like a tactile cue, is have her start in the pinpoint, then go back, and then go back into the pinpoint.
Yeah, I mean, as a training drill, we do that. that's a little awkward during sort of competitive point play. So
Yeah.
you can try it. It's just normally we do that as, like you said, as an awareness. If you're trying to get them to go into pinpoint, is to they
Mhm.
start there so they know where they need to finish up. Then they start like regular, and then they bring it in. So the biggest thing is we just really want her to bring her feet together and not
Yeah.
over rotate. Right now, the back foot and the back hip have started to rotate very early, and that causes a bunch of issues later in the motion. So, like if I take you down here, let's go later in the motion. See what's happened here? See how the spine angle is falling to the right? Big gap between both calves here. That's a result of what we saw here. If we fix this position, she's not going to fall to the right. She's not going to have that big kind of tilt, which is potentially an injury waiting to happen as well in her lower back and core potentially. And then the other issue that comes up later is at contact. Notice how this is actually just after contact. Let's go back to contact. When she gets to contact, notice how she's really falling to the left with her spine here. And then her
Yes.
arms, what we call straight above, kind of straight above, because it's the only way she's able to make contact. But she's a little bit collapsed here at the core. So all these things are pretty normal. So it looks a lot, but it's all fixable if we really get back to this position and make the adjustment here, because everything else is a cascade of events that have happened because of this position.
Now, so then after that tilt, after that spinal tilt, Mark, the reason why I've always wondered why she kept her left leg out. And the reason why she keeps her leg left out is to counterbalance that.
Correct. She's going to fall over and fall face first to the right if she didn't kick her leg out. So again, it's all just because of this stage. If we make the adjustment here, it's huge impact, really impactful. And notice how the racket, this is called early racket drop, where the racket is on all the way here. It really shouldn't be there yet. It's dropping early. And the reason is because she's trying to get the racket actually in the right position. But because her leg's all the way over here, that's the counterbalance of the leg. So, if her leg gets back more so closer to where the right leg is, and it's right behind, that racket drop's going to change. That position's going to change. It's not going to be the same scenario. So, we don't want to do too many things at once, but the biggest thing, if we can improve upon, is getting those feet to be together and making sure that she hasn't pushed the back foot around the front foot. That pretty clear? Because this is probably, if we stopped right now and just worked on that would make a huge impact on the rest of the motion.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So this is stage 4 now, and she's got pretty good range here. So you see the tip of the racket is pointing to the heel, which is good. She doesn't get her elbow all the way up. Like, really, the great servers have the tip of the elbow pointing to the sky at this point. Notice how her elbow is sort of pointing to the left side fence. So I don't know if that's a range issue or not. It could be, but it may not be. It may also just be her sinking is off because of her foot position, and she hasn't maximized this situation. So I'd like to see what she looks like once she gets her foot position right, because I think this takes care of itself. So we don't want to necessarily address this right now, but what we do want to see at this point is we want to see her side on. So if we're looking on the back view here, I'd only want to see one leg. I don't want to see 2 legs, meaning that the legs are like this. So you don't see 2, you only see 1. So you see 1 calf, 1 glute, 1 knee, things like that. Does that sort of make sense, that we want to be completely side on at this point instead of over rotated?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, and then when we get through here, we get to contact. And again, acceleration and contact are very close to each other. So you see here at contact what we see, and you see that left spinal tilt. Her pretty much her head and her spine is going towards the right net post right now, which just from an efficiency standpoint, let alone injury risk and all the other things that we don't necessarily want to see from this position, she's just not able to hit the serve as hard as she should be able to, because her body weight is going right when you actually want her body weight going forward towards that service box that she's trying to hit to. So we still want to be side on a lot more at this point. And notice how both her hips, if we took her hip bones and her shoulder bones, they would face the net right now, or they do face the net right now. We really don't want them to. We want to be a little bit, if these were the bones, you
Yeah.
want them close to like this, whereas you may get a little shift here at contact, but you don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
And then as a result, we call this sort of a butt back serve motion, meaning that the butt is behind the baseline at this point. And that's very, very common, because what this is doing, this is just the body's way of making contact. It knows it's falling to the right. It knows the ball hasn't moved, and it knows the racket needs to make contact with it. The only way to do that is to get your body out of the way. So you have to create this collapsing position just to make contact. So the collapsing and all that, they probably worked on this, I would assume, with things like, keep your head up, stay tall, jump into the court, all these kind of cues, which is not wrong, but that never fixes it because of what's happened earlier. So she's probably trying to do some of that stuff, I would assume. But the big thing is we got to go back to that stage 3, the position back here, which once we fix that, she's going to be going hopefully up and out in the right direction, and she's going to be really tall at contact and not really collapsed. And then this stage 7, the thumbs up here, it means that you've got really big upside here, because not everyone gets into this position. This is called long axis rotation, where we get internal shoulder rotation and forearm pronation. That means she's got the capacity genetically and comfort wise to hit a pretty big serve and also have a potentially good kick serve. With this motion, she's not going to be able to hit a kick serve right now because her body's falling to the right. And I'm assuming she doesn't have a really good kick serve at the moment.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely
So
correct.
it's not physically possible. Even Venus Williams, for as good as Venus Williams is, she doesn't have a kick serve. She has a slice serve, and she does somewhat. Her one big negative with her serve is she also has a little bit of this tilt, not as bad, but it creates the inability to hit an effective kick serve. So, but the good thing is this position is awesome. This is a really good sign that if we get her body mechanics right and her going in the right direction, so syncing her kinetic chain in a better way, she's going to be able to add a good amount of speed to her serve and also develop a good kick serve. So that's one of the big things that correlates to good speed and good kick serves is the ability to get into this position with the upper body. So, and then the finish, here is the big scenario here is look where she's going. That orange line is her energy pathway. So her energy is going all the way over here, and she's trying to hit the ball all the way over here. So that's not ideal. From a situation of just basic, hey, we want to be as efficient as possible, and we want to push as much energy in the direction that we're trying to serve. Her energy is going right, and the ball's trying to go left. We want her energy going left as much as we can. So again, it looks like a lot, but it's a lot late in the motion because of what happened in stage 3. So if we can work on stage 3 and make this adjustment, you're going to see a lot of everything else really, really improve. Okay, I know it was a lot of information, so happy to kind of walk through it, talk through any questions you have on it, but hopefully some of the concepts make some sense. And if there's some things that don't, or you maybe have reasons why some of the scenarios have happened that way, let me know. I'd love to talk through it.
Yeah.
I just think that she still has motor patterns that she relies on. You know, when there's a change in the stimuli environment, she knew she was being videoed. So she probably didn't go full pinpoint. But even then, when she does full pinpoint, she steps way past her
Yeah.
front foot with her left. So that's a universal. When she steps, she always steps with her left foot way past the right. When they should actually, you know, maybe the front part of the left foot should be lining up with the arch.
Correct. So I would look at,
Yeah.
I mean, there aren't that many female lefties, but Kvitova is one of the best to look at. Watch her service motion. You know, she's taller, but she's got a great service motion. So there's a lot of good things that we can use her as a potential model from a service standpoint. So I would have her watch Kvitova serve because she brings her foot up. Her foot position's great. She's got great hip turn. She does a lot of things really, really well. Let me actually just quickly, I think I got a photo of this position that I can pull up. But yeah, any questions on that?
No, I mean, this is great information. And what I like about the results is that we can make a definite impact by, you know, addressing the foot position in the first stage and how the lower body's aligned. And then maybe after we've done the work that we need to do and that's corrected, we'll get another assessment to see what the upper body's looking like.
For sure.
If
Yeah.
if that was okay with everyone.
Yeah, definitely. I'm kind of like looking at, of course, of how to align her body. And right now I'm thinking about, okay, where is she tossing the ball, right? Where is she tossing the ball? But I don't really I don't really see it on the other videos.
So that's where she releases it.
Okay.
And so that's pretty good. I don't
Yeah.
think she's got a big issue with her release alignment, like where it's
Mhm.
aligned, where the
Mhm.
arm is in space.
Yeah.
So,
Does
and
it
where she
go?
makes contact is actually the ball is in a good spot. Her body's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
her body's fallen, but the ball's actually right where it should be. So
Okay.
I don't
So
know if it's always like that, depending on if
yeah.
you took 20 serves,
Okay.
if they all look like this. But
Yeah.
the ones I saw, the
Yeah.
ball toss wasn't the concern. It
Right.
wasn't like the
Okay.
ball toss was getting really far to the right or really too far out in front or too far behind.
Okay. And
But
mhm.
I
Sorry.
just wanted to add to what you were saying, Rachel. What Mark noticed today was he was noticing the foot position. And what he saw was the foot position actually gets worse when her toss arcs to the right. If you look at this,
Yeah, I can see that.
because her toss, the way her arm is if you look at her toss, Mark,
Mhm.
her arm is almost perfectly straight and tight when she tosses.
Mhm.
So in this, it looks more relaxed, but sometimes she's much more tense in her arm. And when she releases and the ball arcs to the right. So that's when she really oversteps to the left.
Yeah, no, exactly. If the ball toss gets out of control, then everything overcompensates.
Yeah.
So it's like even with great servers that have great mechanics, they're still going to fall to the right if their ball tosses takes them to the right. But they're not going to fall as extreme, or they're not going to have so much tilt because they haven't brought that foot around. So
right.
the toss definitely makes a big factor, but I don't think that's the major
Yeah.
area of focus right now.
Yeah.
It's a component that needs to be monitored though. Yeah.
And so now that I was able to see the ball and talk to you a little bit more about it, the next thing that I would kind of look at would be if she yanks that arm down a little bit too soon, because when that arm comes down, right, you can't really go up sideways.
Correct.
Like how she should, and you'll just come around.
Correct.
Right?
So you're talking about so the arm's still up, it's starting to drop here,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, that
then
could be,
it gets
yeah.
to there. Notice how this is, she's so open that this kind of has to happen. Her
Yeah.
right arm is now to her right. So
Right.
you can kind of see
Yeah, that makes sense. You yank down and you come
it should be,
across.
the elbow should be in her belly button at this point.
Right.
Yeah. So every good sort of throwing motion, if you watch Tom Brady, if you watch any great major league pitcher, the opposite elbow comes into the belly button in this position.
Mhm.
So she's now way open, and
Yeah.
that right arm is
And
out
that's,
there. And you can't really fix that right now with her motion just by focusing on the arm, because
okay.
her legs are so over rotated and her hips are so
Right.
over rotated. Once you
Yeah.
get her hips right, if she's still doing this a little bit, which she may because she's done this for so long, then the next cue would be the elbow into the belly button.
Yeah.
And that'll
Okay.
keep her aligned right.
Okay.
But I wouldn't start there. Let's take care of the feet first.
Yeah.
And get that position right. And once she gets pretty good at that, and you feel like, hey, it's becoming easy for her to do that, and it should be. This shouldn't be something, I've never really had a problem once they're aware of it with them bringing their feet up together, because they get immediate biofeedback when they hit the other foot. That's a cue that you've done it right. If you don't touch the other foot, you're not doing it right. So
Yeah.
you can also put a chalk mark or a towel on the side. So when she starts, let's say she's starting here, right at her toe, her big toe on her right foot, I would have a towel or a chalk line or tape. But a towel's usually pretty good initially because it gives a feeling. They can feel when they touch it right along here. So her left foot should never touch the towel.
Okay. Got it. Okay, great. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yep.
So how does that sound? Does that sound like a pretty good plan of attack to try to sort of address that, hone in on that, work on it the next week, try to really get her comfortable with it? Please, and feel free to send me a couple of videos in the next few days when you're working on it. And just, the biggest thing is try to get that foot in the right position. Once we can do that, it'll look really, really, really good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I think you get the concept. I don't have a lefty right now. I was going to pull one up, but I think I can pull up a righty that should be able to give this a good example. Just so let me see.
Yeah. 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 And yep. Yeah. Yep. Because now I'm thinking, maybe it's the foot that when it slides out and it's away from the other foot and it causes her to open up, a little bit too much. And then that kind of affects everything. So if she just stays turned, slides up the foot. Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's the thing. We got to start sort of where the
Yeah.
issues are and go from there. Because once we get the starting point ones done right, then it becomes a lot easier for the rest of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Let me see. This is Hubie's his return. Sorry, I was going to show his serve because he does it really well. Let me get. This person's a lefty. Yeah, here. So here's an example of a lefty. See how the feet come up into that position right there?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's exactly what we'd like to see.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yep. So
staying turned up high, here and, body sideways, left legs coming up. And yep.
because then they can
100%.
get through and they're fully extended at contact. See that position? That's kind of where we want to be. Still side on.
Yep.
Yep. So again, I think that's the goal. That's the priority is to find that position, get her in that position, and then see what that produces. Because we're not sure yet what that'll produce. That'll either fix everything in one swoop, which it probably won't. She'll probably get to that position well. She'll get up, but she'll still want to fall a little bit to the right because she's done it for so long. And then the next phase will be tuck that elbow, try to keep that chest pointing to the sky so she stays tall and side on.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
Excellent.
Yep.
Awesome. No, that sounds good. It sounds like I think we got a good plan of attack. Again, there was nothing there that was super sort of concerning from a standpoint of this is a hard fix. It's an early in the motion fix that caused a series of other things to happen. So if we work on fixing that at the beginning of the motion, it should help a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great advice. I'm glad that the fix is early in the motion, you
Yeah.
know, because then you can kind of start to improve the whole chain.
For sure, because a lot of the time we want to fix what's happening at contact, because I think we all realized contact was a little off. It was a little collapsed. It was falling to the right, but you can't fix contact to contact. You have to go back to the cause, and the cause was
Yeah.
stage 3, that loading position.
Okay. Great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you guys an email right after this with a copy of that video with some voiceover. I'll send you also the recording of this, so you have this, you can review it, and also that checklist sheet, so you can kind of work through those and then the drills and exercises. So it should give you some stuff to work on over the next week. But yeah, feel free to shoot me some video as you're going along, just to monitor progress and see how things are going.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank
Really
you.
appreciate your time.
Yeah, of course. No, this was great. And, reach out, and I'm excited to see the next steps as well. It should be fun.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, great seeing you guys.
Great.
Have a
Thank you,
great
Mark.
weekend.
Okay, take care.